Woo! Happy Friday, everybody.
Good morning.
Here's the black big dog. I'm not going to be able to hold her for much longer. She's like 32 pounds now. Getting bigger every week. Hanging out with me to my left.
Craig Uglin. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram.
Martha on Facebook. Bella Baby isn't a baby anymore.
No.
You can keep talking.
She's Let me get the star of the show, though, you know.
She totally is.
Everybody tunes in every week to see Bella.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, when we were off, you know, for 4th of July, I was getting messages, but where's Bella? She getting bigger? I'm not kidding. I'm not even kidding.
Hey, you got a good
great.
When you got her. People are got some audience going now, right?
Exactly.
It's a good hook.
Bella's going to need her own Instagram page.
Oh, boy.
Hey, that's a good idea.
There you go.
That's a good idea.
Martha May, your mic, you're going to need to adjust that up. We're going to get going. We're going to talk about Biden is caught. Yeah, get right in there.
Oh, gosh.
We'll adjust your mic, but you got to have it in. Yeah.
Gotta have
So political section, we're going to talk about Biden, how he's caught falsely claiming he used to drive an 18-wheeler. We're going to talk about Sturgis a little bit. In our local segment, we're going to talk about the U.S. economy and how the proof of vaccination they anticipate will slow the growth, essentially, of the economy. And in our entertainment section, Paul Rudd. Isn't that great? You guys read that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What a cool story. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, it is.
And a fun actor and everything else. So
looking cool.
Those are,
looking young.
Our internet right now is stable, so hopefully it will remain stable. So we appreciate everybody hanging out with us today. We're gonna do a special episode next week. For Friday the 13th, I scared you guys with some questions. Yeah, Friday the 13th. So we're going to have that coming up too. Just take a second and talk about what we're going to do next week.
So Matt's got some interview questions for us, Craig. What do you think about those?
It'll be fun.
I wish you would have done it impromptu, though, and not given us time to think about the questions, because I probably think more better on my feet.
Yeah, last time we did this, it was regarding Shiny and what that stood for, and that was completely impromptu, and definitely put you in the hot seat.
Instead of being premeditated. So now I've had some opportunity to think about what my replies and responses will be. So, they're good questions, though, so it'll be exciting to hear.
Yeah, they're great questions.
From
fun.
My standpoint as a woman compared to your standpoint as a man, I have some different things that I've looked at as being a female for the show, so I'll be anxious to hear your reply and response.
Huh. It'll be fun.
It's always fun with that. It's Friday, TGI. It's Friday.
Yeah, and you have a big party tonight, don't you?
No.
Next week.
No, actually that got rescheduled.
It did. Okay.
That just got rescheduled. I haven't sent an email out even. It just literally just got rescheduled.
Okay, never mind then.
So sorry, it's
okay.
The country music
there's no rest for the weary around here, man. Keep up.
Yeah, I know. It's been a busy season.
No, I haven't announced it yet. So that's the 27th though. Yeah, that's all set to go. We're in good shape for that.
That'll be a fun weekend.
It's going to be a really fun weekend. Yeah, a lot of fun. I'm pretty excited. My daughter's coming from South Carolina for it stuff. So that'll be cool. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. So hopefully, she wins the tournament on Saturday.
For
we'll have to beanbag tournament.
The cornhole or beanbag or whatever you want to call it. So make sure you follow me. And you can get all that information. Matt Logan speaks everywhere. Everywhere.
When are we going to speak in Hawaii or Tahiti or something? That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Then you could say you speak everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, I don't speak everywhere. It's just that you can find me everywhere, social media, stuff like that. Matt Logan speaks. Good.
Well, we can work on the location parts.
Yeah.
Field trip.
That'd be fun.
Field trip. There you go.
Field trip on the road with Matt.
Yeah, you hear all the commotion outside too. I don't know if you just heard that.
Sounds like a dump truck.
Yeah, a dump truck. It's a lot going on around here. crazy.
No
Well,
rest for the
while
wicked.
you're talking about going on around here, people that are invited to your events, you have quite the setup out here, and I myself was impressed. You have a beautiful pavilion, that you have entertainment underneath, and you have beautiful countryside. And I just have to say, the guests that were here were just so amazed. You got a corn patch kind of, campus
Keep
in-
talking. Let's turn her mic up just a little bit more. Where are we at for levels? We're having. I use my soundboard for like a lot of things, and it's just something's out of whack here this morning. So apologize. Go ahead, Martha May.
So I just want to tell everybody how beautiful the grounds you have out here, and it's really out in God's country, and you have cornfields that kind of encompass you, but how beautiful it was last time we were out here for an event. The sun was going down, and you had great entertainment, and all of a sudden I see a bunch of people get up to capture the sunset going down right over the corn stalks and everything. So only out in God's country can you see something like that.
Yeah, it's been a long, hard road to stay here with just all the trouble in life, but work, night and day to make it happen. So that's what counts.
Well, paid off.
Yeah, for sure. How's our mic levels? Are we bouncing in the yellow and stuff for each of us? All right, then we should be good. So now that the mics are, a little bit better, hopefully they're not too loud. It's always a fun balance, right?
Yeah.
And it's just part of the thing. And that's one of the things why I wanted to ask for next week the question about criticism, right? What's the criticism? Like, we all get it, don't we? And I mean, I don't know, I do.
Oh, yeah.
maybe I'm an exception, but
You're gonna get criticism when you put your face on a target.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was an important question that we asked for next week too. So let's get into it though. Vaccinations are obviously on the forefront. Let's get into our economic section here. So this is from Fox Business. Proof of vaccination will slow U.S. economy. And, a lot of it. So let me read this statement from Scott Shellady. I don't know how do you say his name. Sure. I'm terrible with that. I've always said, right, you guys, I'm not super intelligent and I'm terrible with names. So there it is. They're panicking.
I would beg to differ on that, but
they're panicking, right? They're not enforcing a vaccine passport, but every company is now saying, in bar and restaurant, you have to have a vaccine to come in. Well, that's basically a vaccine passport. That's what the markets worry about, because that's going to slow growth. That's going to slow the economy. And New York City, when this article came out the other day, Wednesday, I think it was, it said that NYC to be the first in the nation to require proof of vaccination for indoor restaurants, gyms. That actually happened. So that's a past tense statement. Bill de Blasio did come out and say vaccines.
Wow.
I think they put their mask mandate even if you have a vaccine. But anyway, the government's been great about doing this, right? He says they haven't mandated it, the vaccine passports. They've just left everybody else to do it, so they don't look like the one that's going to be the bad guy here.
That's right.
it's all about appearances.
It is. And, yeesh.
Because you're going to get canceled if you don't.
Yeah. And who's going to cancel? People, look, go do your research. I want to just say that out front. This is an opinion show. These are our opinions based on our research, based on just kind of the things that we've looked at, read, and our thoughts. We're not saying we're right. We're just saying that let's pay attention, I guess. And I just want to throw that in there, you guys.
Yeah.
As always.
Disclaimer, a good disclaimer.
Yeah. You hear the different things. Like, I'm super frustrated with this because the messages aren't congruent. And yeah, I use that word maybe too much, but they're not. The messages isn't congruent. They keep flopping all over the place, including our very own Michael Osterholm here in Minnesota at the U of M. He was just in an interview the other day, and he talked about how cloth masks don't work, and he kind of had to back up off of that and say, well, for COVID-19, we can do the N95s, and so it's just like all over the place, and
right.
It's pretty wild.
Hypocrisy.
The thing with the N95s is, so my wife works in the medical industry at Mayo, and they have to wear N95s in her procedure rooms. They're fitted They fit them to your face. So going and buying them off the shelf at the big box store doesn't mean they're going to work. And when everything went down last spring, there were a lot of beards and mustaches and goatees that had to be shaved off of male because you can't have facial hair and have an N95 effectively work.
Right.
Is my understanding.
Right.
So you see all these people with big puffy, lumberjack beards with an N95, and it's doing no good. You're just filtering the big chunks through your beard is all you're doing.
Right.
So
the big chunks, like the burrito,
the big air
like
particles.
the burrito.
Yeah, all the leftover, the scraps. So, I mean, it's that I struggle with. They're pushing these things, but yet they're not making sure that they're all fitting properly. And people have them on their chins and under their noses and over their nose and not their mouth. And it's just, if you're gonna do it right.
Can I ask you a question? Are you pro or anti-mask?
I think it should be left up to the people.
Okay.
And there's just so much conflicting information of, obviously masks serve a purpose. They've been in the medical industry for decades and decades. So yes, there's some good to them, but I think it depends on what you're trying to protect people from. And from the vaccine, I don't know, the science, you can pick and choose what science you want to believe. Just like reports and data in, data out. You can make things say whatever you want them to say. So that's, Matt, to your words of do your own homework. We're being pushed. It feels to me like this is being pushed so hard, and they're using science as an excuse to justify all these shutdowns and mandates and stuff. But they're silencing the doctors and the scientists that don't agree with the agenda.
Frankly,
they're just conspiracy theorists. So if you disagree with the mainstream scientists, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Well, the Earth is flat, right?
Some days.
Yeah.
But I always trip on the edge. So
so here's where I struggle the most is right, science changes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's changed a lot in the last 18 months.
And it depends who you asked.
Right. But how does it change? In the past, how does science change? Peer review. Right. You get all the different research and you compile them and say, okay, this makes sense, that makes sense. Well, here's where we come to, and for the virus itself, it's this size and this mask, and we'll filter this size out and that one won't, and like you say, fit it in things. But the problem has been for me is I get it. The science changes. And now that's frankly what people on what would more of a Democrat or left thinking person, and even progressive thinking people are like, hey, well, that's what science is. It's, we get new data. Your
hand-picked science.
Exactly. But here's the thing I just had this conversation with somebody the other day. I ran into somebody in a parking lot. I wasn't wearing a mask and he was, and he's like, and so, of course I can't keep my mouth shut.
What?
I know it's weird.
It's amazing. The show's
I get into trouble. I get it. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I understand that. But what I get frustrated with, honestly, is like the congruency. Mm-hmm. Like the science can't change that fast. No, it can't change from yes, no, maybe so. I mean, all of that kind of stuff. It can't. That's not how science works.
Unless there's something behind it.
Yes. And then I asked the question about the PCR test.
Very valid question.
How come our flu disappeared?
Yep.
Right.
And
they can't test for the variant. There's no separate test for that.
Exactly. And that was my next thing.
Sorry,
That's fine. I get it. I'm glad. So the point is this. Ever since I said yes to being in the public space when my daughter died, I said, look, my goal is to provoke thought. I don't want to tell these students or people that I speak to what to do. I want them to think, make a decision for themselves. And that's exactly it here. Let's think. And let's make a decision that's good for you personally. Yeah. As long as you're not intentionally harming other people.
Right.
So,
there's my rant on that.
So there's businesses that are requiring employees to wear masks. But in any type of industry, the MSDS sheet or OSHA has some kind of government involvement with what specs are, safety, different things like that. But there is no spec out there on what mask to wear. Do you guys realize that? There's, you're talking about masks and different things, the N95, except probably at a healthcare facility, but there's no spec out there that says this is the type of mask you should wear, and this is what we approve. Absolutely not.
And if it's a handkerchief or the neck scarves that a lot of people wore, just to pacify the requirements. And I mean, I have a buddy that found the mask that I don't know if it stop a mosquito, but he had his mask on. So
I can't wear one with
rules.
my respiratory problems. I can't wear one anymore. I absolutely cannot. I've lost hearing and different things like that. I absolutely cannot wear one. So what about those people that cannot wear one?
My mom's the same way, but I guess we kind of got off a little bit on this one. This is about a vaccine. We started talking about masks. That's my fault. I know, but the point is like, okay, if the vaccine is going to work, then why do we need to wear the mask? And so the back to the vaccine in particular, in this slowing the economy down and some of that kind of stuff, it's to me, the vaccine. Okay, let's back that up. It clearly is not a vaccine. This isn't a vaccine.
It's not.
Per definition.
It's not.
Per definition, and now the point of that is they're trying to change the definition of a vaccine. Right. Seriously.
It doesn't work that way.
No, but they're trying.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is I would say what I've read.
It's experimental.
Well, it's experimental, but it's a treatment, I guess. I've read a lot about that, and a lot of people would call this a treatment, so that you get the symptoms. It's a little bit less severe and things like that, which may absolutely be true in a lot of cases. But there are there's the database NARS or something like that tracks this, and there's a lot of weird deaths after being vaccinated. Just the truth.
High protein levels.
Yeah. So there's so much unknown. So when they're doing these things, when the government is coming out and putting pressure on, frankly, big business that, we might not support you essentially if you don't require these vaccines and all those things, and people are quitting and losing their jobs, and good for them. Because this is supposed to be a country where they can show us the science and say, hey, this is a good thing for you to do. Now you get to decide. Yeah. And that's
the intention.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yes. But that's not what's happening.
That isn't. We're so far away from the Constitution. It's not even it's so not even. Wow.
And I think the second go around, trying to get back to the economy part is, I think, because it's not mandated, you're going to see those restaurants push back that don't. They're not being forced to, so they're not going to. I think some businesses suffered a little bit last year because they were pushing things way too hard, and people said, nope, I'm going to make a choice to go to a business that's not going to make me do what I don't want to do. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. And I think those businesses will do fine because people are starting to read between the lines. If there's some restaurants that say, we're going to mask our staff, but you don't have to mask if you come in. And it's using your common sense. If you're not feeling good, don't go out.
Right.
But it's the same thing. If you're not comfortable with being around people that don't have masks, don't go out.
That's right.
Or patronize the businesses that require it.
Right.
But don't hassle the people that don't want to wear them, and don't hassle the businesses or cancel the businesses that don't want to require it.
That was on a local Facebook page just yesterday. Did you see that? Where the mayor is saying, mayor is saying that government offices now have to wear masks.
Effective today.
Yeah. And everybody's pushing back and saying, you know what? I'm not going to go to that business then if they are going to require masks. Like 99% of it was all feedback that said, yep, it's my choice. I'm going to pay patronage to businesses that do not require that then. Yep.
Mm-hmm. They're going to, I think they're going to get a lot more pushback.
You can see the rebellion. You can see it. You can feel it.
Patriotic rebellion, I think is a really good, a good way to say it. I've posted for what is a Mark Twain quote or whatever, true patriotism. I'm not going to get it right, but true patriotism is to the country, not the government, essentially. I'm not saying it clearly verbatim, but
the point is taken.
Yeah. So things have changed really fast. So, hey, be strong.
Nice. Look at those.
Little plug.
Nice
What do you think of that? New mugs came in today.
Love
Some
it.
of them.
Love it.
Some more of them
Let's see
next
the back.
week.
Let's see the back.
So the back is the shiny, my shiny acronym.
Nice.
So yeah, strong, hope, influential,
Are you
necessary.
going to give them away?
Yeah, there'll be some to give away, some to sell, and things like that. So yeah, a lot of fun changes coming in September for sure.
Nice.
Maybe even later this month. But Martha May, we didn't let you weigh in a whole lot here.
I know.
Let's hear it. I'll shut up now.
The mask thing, I mean, this whole government lockdown thing, and we're talking about how it goes hand in hand with this whole mask, vaccine, even the discrepancy, even how people will be scrutinized and segregated against, you got to show your card. I just read where someone in the cities, they went to a theater, their kids went to a theater. Apparently the theater sent out a last minute email that said you had to bring your vaccine card with. Last minute email. And now those people with theater tickets could not attend because they didn't have their vaccine card. The other thing is, okay, so how easy is it to just copy this vaccine card? I mean, is it really legit? It's pretty much like a Post-it note. Nobody really has any tracking, tracing correspondence with it. So does it just come down to everybody copying it for the sake of, badge flashing kind of thing? So, if it really comes down to a piece of paper, is it kind of like a star on the center of your forehead or a badge on your arm? You're wearing a badge of honor. Is there any difference in that? Kind of going back to, some Hitler days, you want to call it that? So that's what I say. It's going to be hard on the economy, you guys. Look at New York. If they're going to start locking down like that, of course, they're not maybe as independent as we are in Minnesota or some of these other states and different things that are pretty active. I mean, it's going to come down to, look at our sister states. Is Wisconsin going to go into lockdown? Is South Dakota going to go into lockdown? Is Iowa going to go into lockdown? Absolutely not. So there you go. I mean, that's going to hurt economy and business all over again.
I think it's going to really hurt travel to New York City.
Yeah.
And we've wanted to go. I really want to go to the 9/11 memorial and just experience New York City. That's going to be put off for a long time.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
And that gets right.
When does it stop?
Right,
That's what I want to know. Like,
right.
when?
That's the end goal.
Didn't we think this would be done in, was it 14 days?
2 weeks. Flat.
Yeah, 14
15 days or whatever
15
they said.
days. Yeah, did we think this would be done in 15 days? Yeah. And
Well,
what do we know about it anymore? No. Do we know?
It depends
any-
upon who you ask.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What do we know, you and I?
Yeah. No, we know
nothing.
a lot. Yeah.
I mean, nothing new,
Right.
because I think we're here talking about this in this podcast because we, like I say, specifically, they made me look. As soon as they stopped me from doing my thing, they made me look. Like, what's going on here? Turning over rocks and kicking bushes and all these other things, flipping the page, looking underneath, all that. You made me look. Now I can't unlook.
Yeah.
And now, I followed it, watched it, and nothing makes logical sense. So yeah, there we are.
I say what next is probably more government bailout. That's what I say. Can we predict that? Can we say in 60 days there's another government bailout handout to suffice the people because of what they're locking down? So now pretty much
it's a bailout. My grandkids and great grandkids are bailing us out.
Yep.
That's the
We're putting
government's
the burden
not.
on them.
The government's not.
The burden on them.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
It's us.
Yeah.
I want to tie off of what you said of, you can't go to these events unless you're vaccinated. And a bit of a spin on that is how the media is playing this. Mayo won't let you in their buildings. Mayo is forcing their employees to be vaccinated. No, that's the headlines. They skip out on the part of, but there is a way to get around that. They're basically going to take you to re-education camp, and you have to sign off on it, and then you can go to work. But they're also probably going to shame you for it.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's that way with a lot of businesses of, oh, you can't work here unless you get the vaccine and
That's
prove
what I'm
it.
talking about, the shame, the mental side of the shaming factor.
I am not anti-vax at all. I've had many vaccinations in
Right.
my life,
Right.
you know, and shots and whatever.
Right.
But this is, like you said earlier, experimental. They're forcing it so fast.
Yep.
And
pushing it so hard.
right. They don't know. They can't test the Delta variant, but yet it's spreading like wildfire.
You
And
watch the news.
so
it's crazy.
here's where I'm going to close this out on. Now, listen to this. More people in Washington, D.C. were murdered in July than died of COVID. More people in, I believe, Chicago as well. I mean, actually, I could probably just say that and be accurate.
Yeah.
Chicago,
By how many
Chicago
times?
area. Right, exactly. So the point is this. The pandemic is violence and murder in the United States that has skyrocketed, including in not far from where we are right now in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
That is a pandemic, and that kind of BS needs to stop. And we can't just say this is okay. What I see this COVID thing as is not that it doesn't exist. I get it. It does. I know people who have passed away of COVID, you know, all those things. They've been elderly. I know people who have had it and have been very sick. Just like I've had the flu and been very sick. No different than that, in my opinion, and what I can see. So it's real.
Yep.
I get it. But as I've also said since this began, this is a sleight of hand, I think. It sure looks like it to me. Look at what this hand's doing while this hand's doing something
You bet.
different.
Right. What was coming out that they're trying to overemphasize? So I can't.
Wait, I got a comment. I got a
What are
comment.
they trying to distract us from?
Yep.
What's happening right now?
And our borders are still open.
Yeah, and
Why are the borders still open? Why are we still allowing all these people to come into our country willy-nilly, with or without COVID? We know they probably do,
A fair
but
amount
yeah,
have COVID.
yeah,
1,500
and where they're
out of
dropping them
7,000.
off at and busting them in at and everything like that.
yeah. No,
Why
it's
is
a
it a
huge
free-for-all?
percentage. It's a higher percentage than that even that have COVID that they,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like in the 40-some percentile.
I thought I
number,
just
so-
heard 60%. 60% of what are tested. So probably very few are actually being tested. 60% of what are being tested that they're able to do on the south side of the border or on north side of the south border are tested positive for COVID.
And if it's that deadly, where are the piles of bodies from the immigrants coming across the border?
Yeah.
If it's really that deadly.
I know.
So-
Because they're not getting the health care like everybody else is.
Well, they are.
They are
They're
now.
dropping them off in counties and everything else like that. So busloads of people all over that they're bringing
yeah,
out.
and actually and I'm not going to look this up right now, but I have read an article where the Biden administration signed off on chartering airplanes into Tennessee, people from the border.
Oh,
that's a great combination.
You
Wow.
know, and it's like, yeesh, all right.
Wow.
That's literally human trafficking by definition.
Wow.
So why are there are so many other things that we should really be focusing on? And you touched base with like Minneapolis and the murder rates up there. And why are we focusing on that? The crime rates up there, the innocent kids that are getting shot in these drive-bys, the child trafficking that's through the roof, and the opioid use all over the country. Why aren't we focusing on those things that we can truly?
Do you guys watch
Much
the
better.
police report here in Rochester?
And let's talk about, suicide, and
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
it's,
Yep.
yeah.
Even the human trafficking right here in Rochester. Like I'm
Oh,
getting
yeah.
a daily police report, and you can just tell what things are going on. They can't obviously list names because they're minors, but there's things going on right in our own neighborhood here.
It's scary.
So why is that not all exposed and getting the media attention compared to what is it now? Oh, Delta. Yeah, Delta. Can you imagine being that airline company right now? Remember when Corona? Remember did they say the beer sales dropped
Plummeted,
because of
I know.
because of Corona?
probably went up
And
because
now-
of the coronavirus.
Yeah,
Have
but the
me some
name.
Corona.
Not Corona itself.
Not
but,
Corona itself.
beer in
Yeah,
general.
yeah.
Beer.
Well, I'm sure everybody's resourcing to that.
Yeah,
As
they
a cope-
definitely, I mean,
coping
alcohol
mechanism.
sales, went through the roof.
Through the roof.
Now poor Delta Airlines gets bashed with Delta variant.
I don't know. We've spent enough time on this one, so
Yeah. And we're going to come back to it with Sturgis. So.
Yeah, I know. I
Let's
was
keep
thinking.
on trucking.
I was going to say
trucking.
let's ride right into
10-4, good buddy.
Let's ride into more coronavirus stuff.
Coronavirus.
Sturgis bike rally revs back bigger despite virus variant.
Vroom vroom.
Yeah.
Right, Craig?
Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Crowds of bikers are rumbling their way towards South Dakota's Black Hills this week, raising fears that COVID-19 infections will be unleashed among the 700,000 people expected to show up at the Sturgis motorcycle rally. The rally, which starts Friday today, has become a haven, right? That's today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 6th.
Officially,
today.
yes.
Yeah,
it's really like 3 weeks long. But.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Has become a haven for those eager to escape coronavirus precautions.
That's not why people are going to Sturgis.
No, I know exactly. Oh boy,
there might be another reason to go to Sturgis, but that's not why they're going.
I'm not gonna really. There's no reason I don't think to read most of this. I mean, one thing it's tourism. About 800 million in sales.
Wow.
According to the State Department. I don't know. It's anything here that stood out we should just specifically talk about or just weigh in on our.
No, I like how they
this whole
talked
thing?
about, look at the crowds that attended the Milwaukee Bucks games, gathered outside, estimated 100,000 one night during their push to the NBA championship. I mean, look at the hypocrisy there.
Martha May, your mic.
Did they get all the pushback with all that, or how many COVID cases came out of that?
They did talk about the COVID cases, but
yeah,
from the
600.
Bucks game.
What 600? Where was that? They talked about something was 600 and some odd
cases from the Milwaukee Bucks game.
Well, they had the Bucks game it was the final game, and they had 100,000 people outside the arena.
Yeah,
Right.
so 649
Plus what's
virus
in it.
cases from every corner of the country linked to the rally last year.
Right. Out of 460,000 people. So do the math on that.
Yeah.
And then of those
But
600
here,
people,
wait,
how
time
many
out.
passed away?
Time out. Back up to the math on that. PCR tests again.
Yep.
They don't have a good test to specifically test for this virus.
Right.
It does pick up the flu virus as well.
And you touched on it earlier, and I think they mentioned it in the article, is a specific group had done their own analysis, and they said that they could tie 250,000 cases of corona to this, but yet there was no peer review. So what did you see in the media? 250,000 cases tied to Sturgis.
Right.
Except that they don't mention that lack of peer review. So really it should have been swept under the rug, and they addressed that in this article.
And now they're at a year later, now they're at 649.
Right.
From 250,000.
Well, that
to,
study was pretty much dismissed. The 250,000.
That's my point, though.
Yeah.
But okay, let's say this. What do you think spreading this fear does to our immune system? What does fear do to your immune system?
You get locked down and you don't get any germs, so your body's weaker.
Right, when you go out. But fear itself, like when you're scared, what does that do to your body?
Mentally.
Yeah. Mentally, your physical body when you're.
And we all know mental health is tied to physical health.
Right. So the point is that I guarantee you all this fear is causing our immune system to be on a destructive path, and it's not helping us at all.
Yeah.
So why don't we come out and actually educate and say, hey, go to the rally, have a good time, be careful. You get sick, stay in your trailer, in your camp or tent, whatever it is. Don't go around people. Let's be smart about it. You know what? I think a lot of people would.
Right.
Not everybody that's going to Sturgis is sitting in bars elbow to elbow with other people. A lot of people go out there just to ride out there. It's
beautiful.
It is beautiful riding out there. There are some of the best roads in the country to ride a bike on. That's why a lot of people go out there. It's not just sitting in the bar and partying.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, but that's not the only reason.
Yeah.
So in 3 weeks, we're going to hear if Sturgis has, how many people they're saying?
About 700,000.
700,000. So then we'll hear 70,000 people came down with COVID in a month. Is that
or
the
or
recap?
like 700.
Or 700? Yeah, 700. Yeah, yeah.
We'll see.
Compared to the 8 that are right now at Mayo Clinic tested positive with COVID in the hospital, and they're not even from our own city or state, right? That's a number I
I
got.
think that was right. Yeah,
That was a number I just
don't
got
know.
2 days
I don't
ago.
know about the fact on that, but it sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think there's any reason to beat a dead Harley on this one. But anything else you want to add? Hey, your comments. We are going to we're going to read your comments at the end of the segment, or at the end of the show here, not each segment. So just be aware of that. We'll catch up to the comments and stuff.
Tell them to like and comment and share, though, Matt.
Yeah, hammer out a comment, hammer the share button, hammer the like button. That helps us out. We're a small show, clearly, and I had a consultant look at my page because we sort of had a sense of
shadow banning.
Yeah, I don't know what the proper term is. Shadow banning is a word, but literally, the videos on my channel don't get promoted in any fashion by Facebook, Instagram. I don't really, for the summer, I haven't done really much on Instagram and Twitter and all that, but just have tested some things out because everything else that I do other than the videos gets massive shares. You know, just yesterday there was like 400 shares on stuff that I did on Facebook alone, you know, and things like that. So anyway, the your comments, your shares specifically help the show tremendously, but I get it. You're scared. I actually did a video on scared to share. And I interviewed some people not on the video, but they didn't want to go on the video, but they're scared. Like literally they don't want to share because of work concerns and shaming and things like that. I get it, but it does help us. We do appreciate all of you that are loyal listeners, watchers. And September, we're going to get back on all the platforms again. I've just been trying to analyze it for the summer because obviously summer is slower anyway. But yeah, we're definitely we'll be back on Apple. I think Pandora, Spotify, all of it in September again. So yeah, that'll be good. But anyway, here we go. Let's get in the big rig.
10 forward, good
Close
buddy.
to home for you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. A lot of traffic on the road.
Can I just add that I was actually watching this live? Like it came through as a White House Facebook. Actually watching this live. I was in awe of how beautiful the facility was, red, white, and blue rigs, all beautiful, shiny, meeting the employees, staff, different things like that, and even the recording of it. And all of a sudden, President Biden says, yeah, I used to drive a big rig. I was like, what? Only
You've been a politician for 50 years. When did you drive a big rig?
Because my dad, growing up as a daughter of a truck driver who fought for the truckers' rights on Capitol Hill during the 70s, never, ever, ever spoke of Biden. Never, ever used the word Biden in any of his information. And now, kind of going back to the story, he's backpedaling like a lot of other things. But watching it live, and you could see how it's live, all big, shiny things. He's meeting the staff. And all of a sudden, right after that gap, all of a sudden they go to something else. They see staff and aides scurrying around, and you knew something went down. You knew something happened. You knew he wasn't talking right. Oh, my gosh. Live.
But he is I got to push back on this, Martha May. He got the most votes of any president in the United States history.
No, wait, he won.
And
he won. He didn't get the most votes.
No, he got the votes. They counted them.
Well, they're recounting them, though. How many times did they count them? Huh? How many times did they count them?
Getting pretty deep in here.
Did they count legal ones? Yeah.
Here's so let me read this. This is the story. This is why we're talking about it. The White House is backtracking after President Joe Biden was caught on a hot microphone falsely claiming he was once a truck driver. It goes on where he's at. He's at the Mac facility, and he says, "I used to drive an 18-wheeler, man." I don't know if I can read much of this because it is pretty funny. It's a claim that is patently false. When the White House was pressed on it, a spokesperson, Fox News, to December 73 article from the Wilmington Evening Journal reported Biden rode in a big rig during a 536-mile haul to Ohio.
Back in the 70s.
Back in the 70s.
Yep.
So, this unsubstantiated claim is yet another gaffe by the president. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the point of this for me. Why I literally, I've watched some of Biden's live things as well, and I watched Trump's as well. And I mean, they would crucify Trump and take things totally out of context and make it, I would watch clips later in the night. He'd do a press conference live or whatever at 2 in the afternoon. And then I'd watch the news at night, and it would be like, yeah, you just sort of clip that together, and that's not at all
cut and paste
what he said, and certainly not in the sentences that he formed. And so the point is the news would just nail him to the wall on everything, no matter what it was. And Biden, this article, you can't find it. You can't find this article.
I was just going to bring it up only because I watched it live.
Transportation Nation.
Only because I watched it live did I know what happened. Otherwise, when I tried to dig out an article to share with our group, I literally had to dig and dig and dig.
I looked on CNN. I looked on Fox when you sent this. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not there, but when I did the search for it, I didn't see it.
That's what I'm saying. I watched it live in action as it went down, with my jaw dropping, wondering what Bob Nuss of Rochester, Minnesota is thinking of all this.
So I want to say congruent again. The media isn't congruent with how they treat the very next president from Donald Trump.
Very hypocritical.
It shows establishment. Biden's establishment
50 years running.
It shows. I mean, the political elite. You could put all kinds. This very article. This is proof of that to me.
Yeah.
Certainly hard evidence.
So I just want to add a little into that article and the backpedal part of it. So growing up in the 70s as the daughter of a truck driver, friends, different things like that, collected trains. Well, you didn't talk about a train when your dad was a truck driver, only because the trains thought they were king of the road kind of thing and everything they were causing for this country. But what they didn't realize, when they pulled into a town, they still needed a truck to go from the train track to the store. So when Biden talks about that he rode in a truck back in the 70s, I don't know if he was doing it for fanfare or obviously because there's no internet that he could track it back on or what they could backpedal on. But I could definitely probably see him riding in the train. And they said he actually did that on the way home. So apparently he rode in the truck from Delaware to Ohio. And then he took the train, which is very hypocritical.
He drove the train?
No, rode in the train.
He drove it?
No.
Well, correction. He rode
in the train.
Rode.
Yeah, rode in the
train.
train.
Okay.
Rode in the train. Yeah,
right.
Okay. Oh, I get you.
Rode in the train.
Rode in the train on the way home. So he didn't even finish his haul or whatever he was trying to accomplish with.
Clearly,
driving.
I'm being sarcastic, by the way, if you didn't catch that.
I'm just trying to tie that in there.
You were laying it on pretty thick, so I speak fluent sarcasm, so I picked it up.
Yeah.
And look, I'll be honest. I'm not slamming Biden in particular for this.
I am.
That's okay. You can. I'm not. And the reason for that is like, I get mistakes and mess ups. I do it too, and more frequently than I'd like to admit, and all that. But they don't own it. Is the problem.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm saying Trump, there's a lot of stuff he didn't own either. I'm not saying it's just Biden, but I think that's where you can see that elitism and career politicians, and you can see that he's being protected by the media and all these other things too. And that's frustrating. I can't even imagine being in the public space like this and the kind of pressure that is. Right. And you're going to screw up saying
He's
something.
Human. We're all human.
Right.
Yep, we're all human.
And so that's where, so the criticism that I have for Biden is policy.
Yep.
There's a lot of policy. I do travel this country every week. I see a lot of different areas, and I got to tell you, the federal government, I'm more and more convinced the more and more I see the country, we need a smaller federal government, and we need to give more power back to state and local areas, because What's good for New York City? I don't live in New York City. Maybe the vaccine, quote, passport is good. I'm not going to go visit.
Mm-mm.
You know, that's okay. That's my choice. But I'll tell you what, it's not good in Grant, New Mexico.
Nope. Or Claremont, Minnesota.
Let me give you a really good 2A Second Amendment guns. I'm at a gas station in near Salt Lake City. So in the mountains. I'm 50 miles from Salt Lake City, probably. I'm at a gas station, and this lady, mid 50s, probably early 50s, she's talking to this other lady that's there, and she's like, I can't believe it. I forgot my pistol when I went out on my walk, and there was these wild dogs that came up over the hill, and I'm like, yep.
What a problem.
Don't see that in New York City.
No.
What a problem.
So the point being is, you have no idea why people might need to protect their Second Amendment, let alone for a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
And if I was walking through North Minneapolis or some other, let me take that back, any bad neighborhood, you might feel the same way of, crap, I don't have my sidearm. There's going to be some wild animals coming over the hilltop, and I got to protect myself.
You know, you want everybody to be vaccinated and protect, whatever. Okay, then issue a mandatory firearm for everybody. Yeah. Right? You think the violence will be what it is? No. Because they're going to be scared that everybody's carrying. I mean, we need to train people, and I mean, I'm not saying just loosely, like be stupid about it. But the point is the point, right? Like, they want people to be protected, and there's all this other stuff that they're not protecting people from. So let's get it straight. My opinion.
And then people still don't have an ID to vote. They got to have a badge of honor for their vaccine, but then they don't have to have an ID to vote. So I'm just gonna bring that up there.
Yeah, we're way off on stuff this week. Jeepers.
We get a lot of things going on. I'm gonna end it with roll on, Biden, roll on. Huh?
Are we done now?
Yeah, trucker honk.
Right. Can we get a sound effect?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm working on that.
Are you?
There's some new software. Yeah, like seriously. Like, it'll be on the computer, but
like a hammer out the like button.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm working on it. There just some literally last week. Was it last? I was telling you about some of the new software updates for the live stream here, and one of them is to integrate sound much easier. Okay. And so we'll see.
You're not gonna let us play with that part, are you?
No, I'm gonna keep I'm gonna keep that
or a drum roll.
Yeah.
Hey, before we move on to entertainment, make sure you hammer the like button, hammer the share button, hammer out a comment to us. We're going to read it in just a few minutes after we talk about our entertainment section. Those of you who are loyal watchers and listeners, some of you, I got messages. I got, I think 5 or 6 messages in the last week, and they, thank you for watching and listening, but just share it. I know you're scared too, but I said that earlier, but
just do it.
You know who you are. We talked.
We
talked. But you have a job that's different than mine that you have to be careful of. Entertainment, let's do it. Restaurant owner says Paul Rudd's youthful looks come from being unbelievably kind. He's a man at peace. This is a pretty cool, article. It's I won't read the whole thing here, but let me give you the gist of it here. He goes into this restaurant in London. He's super friendly with the staff. He actually FaceTimes somebody that moved back to India to take care of her father or his, I can't remember. I should keep digging, but anyway, father in India because of COVID-19 apparently. And it's very cool. But one of the people had tweeted out that, how is it possible that, Dan Levy looks older than Paul Rudd? Levy is 37 while Rudd is 52. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That's what caught my attention. I've heard a lot of good things about Paul Rudd here and what he does in communities and things like that. But
Nice.
It's just such a really cool thing because, I'll be honest with you. I thought about, did you guys see the video where he kind of went off on this wild, crazy rant with COVID stuff?
No.
Mm-mm.
You should look it up later. In fact, everybody watching, listening, you look it up. It's pretty sad that he did this because you hear about this, all the good things that he normally would do. And it was just, it was pretty unreal, but I
Was
won't.
it like a shame video?
I'm just gonna say, go look at the video, find it, look it up, a year-ish ago or whatever when it's happening. And, so it is what it is, but there's so many good things. The reason I pull this up and the reason I say that is because there's so many good things to people that we have to choose what we focus on. And this story is just heartwarming. He's super kind to the wait staff and the it makes sense. He's 52. I'm actually 56. And so that's why I'm so kind
I'm gonna say
and at peace.
26. Yeah.
No, I'm not 56 clearly, but it's really cool to hear about these heartwarming stories in the entertainment world, because this last 18 months or whatever, we've had nothing but and how she just was, right. And you hear that over and over and over again, and there, rules for thee but not for me type things and attitude. And here he is, he seems like a really good guy. That was really cool.
Nice.
It's just a different pace for him.
Right. Well, and it's nice that some kindness is getting some media attention and not just. So, I mean, I'm a fan of him. He puts together some great movies. He hangs around. Seems like he hangs around with some people that are pretty laid back. So that
I'm gonna say he's got a glow to him. That's what I'm gonna say. He's kind of got a glow to him, and I'm gonna tell you, like, the camera can be deceiving sometimes. Last week I did an interview and I got told I looked like I was in college, so I'll take that. I'll take that. But makeup, money, it kind of goes hand in hand to do different things and be able to afford different things too. So I honestly, from a woman's standpoint, I didn't see any age difference in them. I thought both of them were around 50. So
some people are blessed with better genetics. Dan Levy's got his dad's eyebrow genetics, so that doesn't help him.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Did you think that, Craig? I mean, obviously, but I didn't. I took both of them for around 50. I would have guessed both of them.
Yeah.
I knew Dan Levy was quite a bit younger than that. I didn't know Wayne Rudd. Paul Rudd was that old. I thought he was closer to Matt and I's age, but I think it's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle that you live.
That's what made the news, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. It's the lifestyle you live, and it seems like this article, the headline was "A Man at Peace." I mean, it truly seems that
staying
way.
out of the BS and enjoying the California medications.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Who knows?
We're in the Midwest working and.
Hey, so thanks for the comments. I did get one text, I think, here as well. I don't know if it was related to the show, but let's go to the first comment here. You can't trust a word from the government or the media. I'm not sure I would say that's 100% accurate. I would say it like this. You got to find the words you can trust. I think anything is based off of some sort of truth. It's just kind of the narrative that they want to spin from it. That's how I would put that, I guess. But
check and double check.
I get it. Yeah,
check and
exactly.
Double check and check your sources and see what the spin. What's their initiative to report what they have? What's in it for them to report what they are and how they report it?
Exactly. And then the next comment, they can legally use the Smith-Mundt Act for propaganda against the American people. I've heard that before, and I've never looked it up. I'll have to do that.
I think I saw this last night.
How do you spell it?
Smith.
Right.
M-U-N-D-T Act.
Okay.
So look that up while I read this next one. This next one's a long one, so we appreciate you for sending in putting all this into it. So let's I'll read it here. Not one government has given scientific evidence that lockdowns work, and their faithful followers never question them, as it's these same people now demanding the scientific proof that the removal of lockdowns are safe. Not one country, state, province, or city has yet to agree on what the science, a now very loose term, is behind any of this. This virus is not about science, it's about politics. Now, the argument over vaccines, Canada mixed and matched, and other countries will not accept this as proof of vaccination. So Canada is offering a third vaccine for those wanting to travel, except Nova Scotia. Their government just announced they will not offer the third vaccine to those wanting to travel. If people have yet to see this is more of a political virus than a science virus, they are blind. Enough with the discussion of vaccine passports. There is only one vaccine required for travel. The CDC divides travel vaccinations into 3 categories: routine, recommended, and required. The only vaccine classified as required by international health regulations is the yellow fever vaccination for travel to certain countries in sub-Saharan Africa and tropical South America. Yellow fever has no cure and has a 15% chance of death. Yes, that is actually, I did read about that last year. I do remember seeing that on those. So that's interesting. Yeah, here's the text. Let me see.
I looked up the Smith-Mundt.
Yeah, go ahead.
So they're talking about a little bit of history of our government, and just giving a little bit of background. It says, just part of the story, one day a young boy was brave enough to blurt out, the emperor has no clothes. At that moment, the propaganda scheme was exposed. Truth set the people free. The story is a perfect allegory of mob psychology and how effective it is. Sadly, most people don't want to be the lone voice in the wilderness shouting out the truth. They are afraid to speak up. Fast forward to 1948, the era of the Cold War begins, and the United States Congress, along with the State Department, set up Voice of America to send radio messages to the rest of the world. The messages could be biased, information, or disinformation, more commonly known as propaganda. At the same time, in order to protect the American people from their own government, Congress passed the Smith-Mundt Act, which prohibited our government from using our departments, agencies, and tax dollars to propagandize the American public. Our media outlets were intended to be free press, as stated in the First Amendment. Smith-Mundt was designed to protect that right from our government. Without that protection, all manner of media can be usurped by political operatives within our government. Fast forward again, this time to 2012. Under the Obama administration, Congress reversed the Smith-Mundt protections. They buried the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act into the National Defense Authorization Act, which passed and was signed by Obama in 2013. Modernization meant they dropped the propaganda protections and allowed government agencies and bureaucrats to create media, quote-unquote, news and opinion to feed the American public. It is written in typical legalese, convoluted language, but nonetheless creates a huge loophole for the State Department and the Board of Broadcast government to create and disseminate all the propaganda they want toward Americans using taxpayer funding. There you go. Background on Smith-Mundt Act. Thank you, President Obama. So,
there's a lot, to be said about Vietnam and stuff like that too, and the propaganda that they started the war. I can't remember exactly what that was, but it was also fake news. I mean, I don't even know how else to say it, but fake news.
To justify
that, was it someone, they attacked a ship or something? It was all staged and, whatever. I mean, it's very public now. Wasn't, of course, back then that this was all fake, but if you can hear us, I think our internet's freaking out a little bit, but I got a couple of texts. One of them was just some information, but this one I can talk about. Let's see if we can put this one up on the screen real quick. Does that show up okay? So this is interesting. This is looks like CARE 11. This is just a screenshot someone sent me. Thanks for sending it.
Yep.
Just look at what that says. I'd just like to point out that the person in the picture is wearing the mask upside down. That is all carry on.
You can see the metal on there.
The metal. Yeah.
I didn't even catch that. I was looking at the gap around her nose. Obviously, that's because the nose piece isn't bent around. Oh my
The
God.
nose piece metal is on
Yeah,
action.
and it's on the bottom.
Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
it's interesting. I mean, we have to watch these things and understand what they are, and not just take things at face value, honestly, including this show. I mean, go look at, we're spouting opinions like crazy. Go look them up.
Yeah.
These are how we look at things and feel. It's our perspective. I have another podcast that I'm gearing up for again here in September, Thought and Perspective. It's simply that. It's a thought and perspective. That's what we're doing here. It's an opinion.
Know your news. I challenge people, know your news, know where you get information from, check, double check, cite, look at the sources, different things. Again, what's in it for who's reporting it?
Mm-hmm.
What's in it for who's reporting it?
Do your own research.
Yeah.
I'd say too, in most cases, local media, certainly in smaller areas, are pretty accurate. They might be biased, but they're pretty accurate.
Yeah.
They're not super. They're not CNN and Fox and all these other things that are like trying to direct you in a certain way. I mean,
I don't know if I would agree with that. Not in our area. Smaller areas. I'm saying we're a pretty big area. I don't know if, we're right near the cities. We're competing with the Twin Cities for a lot of things.
Oh, for sure.
We have 200,000 people in Olmsted County alone.
Right.
Ish, or what's the 250? I don't know. 250. Yeah.
Within 20 miles of Rochester.
Yeah. And so it's a pretty big area. You think about that and the economics of that, for media, it's pretty big. But I'd say for the most part, smaller areas, they're just going out and trying to be journalists. And I think that's important to note as well. So
yeah, reporting local stuff. And I wish that our local news agencies would stop simply reposting AP articles and get out and report local stuff. Like when we had our Heroes Ride 2 weeks ago, not one reporter there. We had 190 people that we raised.
Wow.
Over $7,000, and not one news agency showed up for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to add to that. I helped with an
Stuff
event
like that.
over in Stanley, Wisconsin, and it was the military vehicle convoy that came through town, and they're following the Yellowstone Trail. And I heard there was rumor that the news has not been in Stanley very often, and news comes out of Eau Claire. And it's not like Rochester, we have 3 news stations in Iowa fighting for competition. So I challenged, when I sent the press release, I challenged these news stations to cover the story. And lo and behold, someone from Eau Claire did come up and cover the story. So thankfully, they covered the story. Everybody in Stanley was grateful to see the Legion and VFW on the news and everything. And it was pretty touching event. So I was glad they covered a story like that without a spin. So that was kind of new news for me without a spin on it. So
yeah, it's frustrating because there's a lot of good things that do happen in Rochester and in our area, but it feels to me like our local media is so fixated on following the status quo national stories.
Yep.
If I want the national stories, I'll watch the national news.
Yep.
Which I won't, but I want to tune into my local agencies to hear about local stuff.
Yep.
Don't just keep regurgitating what's flowing downhill.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for being strong.
Shiny.
Thank you for being hope. Thank you for being influential. Thank you for being necessary, and thank you for being you. And that's how we're going to end this today.
Very nice.
Well, Friday the 13th next week.
All right.
Should we as we end, let's do this. Let me read the questions we're going to talk about next week, because this is a special episode. It's a scary episode. And let's see. Question 1, what has been most challenging for you doing this podcast? What has surprised you most about doing this podcast? 3, have you grown as a person, and how so doing this podcast? I guess that was a bad text. That was bad grammar on this text, wasn't it, you guys? I'm sorry about that. And then I came up with another one. Where was it? Oh, here it is. What has been the toughest criticism you've received because of this podcast? So next week, next Friday morning, 9 a.m., we'll see you back here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.